let it go.
Welcome to the Average Nobodies podcast, the ultimate home for wrestling enthusiasts, beer drinkers, movie quoters, and pop culture connoisseurs. Here are your hosts, Matt and Ryan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Average Nobodies podcast. My name is Matt Fogarty.
And I am Ryan Vieira, a hybrid cheetah.
Welcome to the Average Nobodies podcast, episode 35 to be exact.
This is nice. I really love this weekly thing. It's just, we're getting better at it. Technology tried to stop us tonight, but technology is no match for the human brain. That's what I've always said.
Verizon, yes. I think that's accurate. Verizon Files tried to put a damper on our parade. Is that it? No, tried to rain on our parade. Is more like
a damper, a rainy damper.
Yeah, a rainy damper, which is what the weather's been doing. But they tried to do it. We cannot be stopped. We're doing this via call right now. So hopefully that goes well. We'll see.
I think it will.
Yeah, I think we're good right now. All right. So I just want to remind everybody that we're all over the internet. At Average Nobodies. You can follow us on Twitter. You can search Average Nobodies. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. AverageNobodies.com is where our blog's at. And if you want to call into this podcast and talk to us about TV shows or really anything, 401-285-8120 is a good number. You can call, leave a voicemail. And we'll play it. We'll play it right here on the show.
I'm not to speed you along, but I'm very intrigued by your people watching.
Okay.
I need to know everything.
Okay, so I got to get right into this. So this is a great story, actually. So my dad goes, most days of the week, he goes to Cal's Corner, this local breakfast joint right in North Providence, right near our houses.
Very good food.
It's very, very, very good. Mom and pop type place. So he goes in there most mornings, and he meets like an interesting cast of characters, to say the least. And
Makes
so
sense.
I've been dealing with some plumbing issues at one of my other properties for like a month straight. And so finally I found an actual plumber that can come out and do some good work for pretty cheap. A really nice guy. But so he did his work, and I showed up to pay him the next morning, last Saturday. And so, last Saturday or last Sunday morning? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I go to meet him at his house, and he's like, I'll be outside my house. I got to go to another job, so you pay me, and then I'll be on my way. So when I pull down his street, he's facing, like, my car. So when I pull up to him, like, our cars are nose to nose, right? So I get out of the car. I walk up to him. He's leaning on his car having a cigarette. I give him the money. We exchange a few words, and then he's, like, still talking to me, and he leaves the cigarette on the hood of the car. And it's, like, in the area where kind of like where the windshield wipers are, there's, like, plastic right there.
Yeah. So
it's like laying in there, and I could see it's like burning a hole in the plastic. Or like it's smoking. So I'm like, do you want to get rid of that? He goes, no, I'm going to drive away. It'll blow away. I was like, okay, fine. So he gets in his car.
Blow away? What does that mean, it'll blow away?
So he gets in his car, in his Jeep, and he's still talking to me, and I'm just kind of like flabbergasted. This guy is just such a character, such a nice guy. And he just like pulls away, right? And I just like, I go to get in my car, and I look up, and his car's gone. Like, he's just gone. Like, I took my eyes off of him for, you know what I mean? Like, for the amount of time I took my eyes off his car, he should have still been, like, 50 feet away from me. Like, we weren't near, like, a street where he could have turned down. He just disappeared. That's it. I mean, he's gone.
I know you don't watch the show, but that reminds me of this show that actually just finished up its run, The Leftovers, and it's based around, it's called The Sudden Departure.
Yeah.
So 2% of the world's population just disappears, like at the same instant.
Do their cars go along with them, or just the people?
No, it's just the people. So yeah, the car is the only factor here that doesn't fit in. But I
can't explain it. It was just bizarre, and it was like early in the morning too. So I was like not super tired, but maybe I was like a little half asleep. But it was just very bizarre, and I had no idea what to make of it. And I just did. My favorite thing though was the cigarette. It's just like clearly burning a hole in the plastic, like near the windshield wipers, and he just couldn't care less. He was just like, nah, it'll blow off. Okay.
I don't know if just letting it blow off is the right.
It's also probably not the right way to do it, but
yeah, like not only should you not smoke cigarettes, you shouldn't just kind of let it sit on plastic and hope for the best.
Yeah, or wherever it lands.
Right.
But anyway, so that's my story for this week.
Well, mine, I just decided to be a good drinker, and I was gonna go into Providence, hang out with Deepak last Friday. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna drive. I'll do Uber.
It's very responsible of you.
Yeah, all right, thank you. I appreciate that. Learning as I go along. So I go to plug in an Uber. Nobody's around. No Ubers. Like they couldn't. Nobody's within like 45 minutes to come pick me up. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna try Lyft. So I try Lyft, and there's one like 15 minutes away. I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. Whatever. It puts me a little behind schedule, but it's better than drinking and driving. So.
Do you have both apps downloaded, or do you have to download
I do now.
Lyft?
I had to download Lyft. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it only took a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But I was hoping because like with Uber, when you download it, you get a free ride for your first ride.
Yeah.
But Lyft has no such promotion apparently.
You know what?
So.
I think the reason why that is not now, I think it's because like ride sharing apps are so popular that they don't need that anymore. Like they don't need to lure you to it, so they're fucking you now. Like before they used to give away free rides left and right. Now it's just like nope.
Yep. Nope. Pay us, which is it's fine. It costs $15, so.
That's a deal.
The people watching story and the best part of the story was my driver. So you know how they have like the little picture that pops up when they assign your driver?
Yes.
So it pops up and it's this woman Lorraine, and she looks like just a woman in her 60s, like white hair. I'm like, all right, hey, good for her. I mean, making some money on a Friday afternoon. So she comes, picks me up, and I get in the car, and we exchange pleasantries. I'm like, hey, how you doing? She's like, good. And she's like, yeah, I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide if I was going to do Lyft tonight or if I was going to drive down to Foxborough and try to sell my painting. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought that's where it would end. But the first red light we hit, she reaches over to the passenger seat, and there's a painting. And the only way I can describe it, and I'm not doing it justice, is it's a picture of Tom Brady from the back.
Okay.
Wearing his uniform. Okay. So it's like from the shoulders up. And it's just like the back of his head, and in his shoulder pads are Tom Brady's face. So
is it like good or is it like
no? Oh no! It looks like the painting that woman did of Jesus, like when she had to redo. Yeah, it's just like that.
The one Kate McKinnon plays on SNL. Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I'll probably just head up later. The closer you get to the stadium, the more they give you for it. I'm like, who's paying you? I didn't say it. But I'm thinking, like, who is paying you for this? But, of course, what came out of my mouth was, yeah, maybe somebody will, hang it in their tailgate or, like, I don't know what you do with that. And burn it so no one, dies of a spell. Yeah.
That's so bizarre. So, like, she just sells it to people on the side of the road, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So
she just drives up towards Foxborough, which you'd think she'd maybe do it during football season. I don't know if people are just hanging out.
That's what I'm saying. Or maybe are they having like camps over there now?
Yeah, but not at Gillette. Yeah. I don't think they do it at Gillette.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, she was a nice lady, but it was just you meet some interesting people when you do those ride sharing services. So.
Yep. Jesus.
But yeah, so that's my people watching.
That's funny. I like the business mind she has. As she gets closer to Gillette, the painting increases in value. That's a real business mind right there.
It is. She's going right to the source. But right. I mean, if someone buys that, God bless them. I don't know what the hell you do with it, but
one day you're gonna be like over somebody's house and you're gonna see it hanging in their house and you're gonna be like, oh. Hey, Lorraine did that, didn't she? Or she became a world-renowned painter. She
started with me.
Yeah, she specializes in the backs of people, but she paints their faces on their shoulders.
Just has like an odd process. Oh God. Yeah, I just like couldn't believe it. Like I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that's like, a Tom Brady from the back. And then it's like, is that his face in his shoulder pads?
That's funny.
I mean, it's definitely revolutionary. I just don't know in a positive way.
Yeah, maybe not. Who knows? You know what? It's honestly there's something like that for everyone. Like there's someone that will be somebody's like most prized possession.
Absolutely. So hey, you know what? Good for her. Maybe she needs a really niche market. I don't know.
Good for Lorraine. And
good for Lorraine.
And good for Hank Williams Jr. right now.
Hey, he's back. ESPN's going to lay off all their sports reporters, but they can dish out some money for Hank Williams Jr. Need him.
So what was the reason he got fired in the first place? So Hank Williams Jr., for those of you who don't know, he was the guy who did the Monday Night Football song.
Yeah, like, oh, you ready for some football?
I mean, he's more famous. He's more famous than that, but he was.
Yeah,
he
but
was,
that's like,
yeah.
if you don't listen to country, like his type of country music, because he's like the really racist, like
Yes.
back roots. You know, it's not like Sam Hunt, Thomas Rhett. It's like, oh, nice country pop song. It's like, hang 'em all,
Yeah,
give me the flag.
Like Johnny Rebel or George Thorogood, like those type of guys.
Yeah, those guys aren't messing around. That's not like they're not doing that for art. They really hate people.
Yes.
But if you don't listen to that type of music, then you know him from the Monday Night Football thing. But a couple of years ago, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, he was on like some radio station, on like Rush Limbaugh, one of those stations. And at the time, Obama was president. So Obama was golfing or was visiting Netanyahu, who I don't know if he still is. He either still is or used to be the prime minister of Israel.
Yes.
So when they went golfing, Hank Williams Jr. said, oh, Hitler went golfing with the devil today, or something like that. So calling Obama Hitler, calling Netanyahu the devil. I think it was the devil. He basically called Obama Hitler.
Yeah.
And they're like, ESPN's like, well, we pay you to sing the song. We don't really need you to. And that's the thing. I mean, when you sign contracts with these huge companies, you basically sign away your right to express your views.
Yeah, and you have to realize that. You have to realize that.
Right, and this is also a very extreme view. I mean, if he's like, oh, I don't really like Obama, they're not going to be like, that's it, you're fired. But when you call him Hitler,
yeah, it
tends to make waves.
It's one thing to work behind the scenes at a company and like not be like a public-facing person and like have these thoughts or say these things or whatever because you're not really connected with the company. I mean, at some point you have to realize that any job you have, anything you do reflects on whatever company you work for, whether you're the CEO or whether you're a guy that's stocking shelves at Stop and Shop. You know what I mean? Like, you represent the company because you're wearing the uniform. With him, he was on TV Monday nights, one of the biggest nights of the year for, recurring nights of the year for TV.
Yeah, and he's like the face of that song. Like, he's with all the players and all that crap, and there's like 20 to 30 million people watching you every week.
This just
so people know who you are. You can't really fly under the radar at that point.
No, not at all. Not at all. This just goes to show, and this is like time and time again, like time heals. This is like the classic, like time heals all wounds thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's crazy, and also with not to switch subjects too quickly, but WWE, I was reading that they're thinking about hiring Hulk. Is that true?
Yeah.
Have you? I mean,
oh yeah. They've been looking into it for a while.
I mean, after all the stuff that he went through, and they pretty much like washed their hands of him, and
released him and like took him out of their commercials, and gave him the blackball treatment. But yeah, they've been trying to bring him. They've been wanting to bring him back. They're just they're nervous, because they don't want to get, they don't want the blowback to come back on them for. I mean, the thing is though, like with today's day and age, there's always going to be people who are going to bring that up.
Yeah.
Always. And I'm not saying it was right it was wrong what he did. But I mean, I don't know. It's tough because like I don't think the guy should be exiled to his home with his shades drawn forever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you shouldn't be able to get away with the stuff he said. Like that's not right.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I mean, who knows?
It's very like you said, right? You said at the beginning of this when we started talking about Hank Williams Jr. Like ESPN just laid off a ton of people. A ton of good workers, and they're gonna rehire Hank Williams Jr. I'm sure he's getting paid up to $1 million, right?
Yeah, he's not just. Yeah, he has to because what the thing is like that's their biggest contract is their football contract. I mean I don't know. It's that's what bothers me more than like doing it. Like, all right, the guy said something stupid, but again, like don't turn to Hank Williams for political news. Like, you're not gonna like what you hear.
Yeah, how many good reporters' salaries is that? Is his Monday Night Football?
And like they call guys like John Clayton, like Mark Stein, who was this like amazing NBA reporter, and honestly, there's probably a dozen to 24 really good like local reporters or reporters who might not have like a huge social media following, but are just really good at their jobs, who got laid off, so this guy can sing a song.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That seems like silly to me. Like I'll sing a song for you. Pay me $1,000. I'll probably do a better song than Hank Williams. It's gonna be the same song too.
Yeah.
It's literally gonna be the same song.
Who did the Monday Night Football song for the last few years now?
One was Faith Hill and one was Carrie Underwood. And I always get them mixed up. And I'm actually not gonna lie, kind of didn't mind seeing Carrie Underwood singing dance at the beginning.
You know what I wasn't thinking on Monday nights during football season? You know what? I really miss Hank Williams Jr. singing the song. I really need him back. It's really going to amp up my experience here. What are they thinking?
These games are great, but just there's no Hank. I can't
get into the games. I just that doesn't make any sense to me. Why? That doesn't. Nobody cares. They're watching the football. They're not watching for the opening song. They're not.
No,
they're not.
So, like, why sign this guy to whatever? Honestly, 50 cents is too much, in my opinion, at this point.
Just cut the song at this point. Just get rid of it. It's not. It's so stupid.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
I agree. But, well, he's back, so I guess we have that to look forward to. Now, did you get to see the trailer for this movie?
I did. Yes.
Now, I know it's unintentionally funny. Like, this is not a comedy.
The trailer is called Blind?
Yeah.
With Alec Baldwin and Demi Moore.
And there's another guy in it. I forgot his name. He's like the guy who goes to jail.
Yeah, he looks really familiar. I don't know his name either. So you want to explain? Give a quick recap on what this is about.
Yeah. So basically, Demi Moore and whoever the other guy is. Let me look up his name just for the sake of.
Okay. But yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. Haven't seen Demi Moore in something in a long time.
Right. I mean,
I can't remember the last thing she was in.
I know she was in a movie after this, but the only thing that comes to mind is Charlie's Angels. Yeah. But that was so long ago. She had to have been in something.
Something small. Yeah.
Dylan McDermott is his name. He's in he's been in movies and TV shows since the 90s.
Yeah.
But so anyway, he's like this Wall Street stock trader or whatever, and he's into some shady stuff. Demi Moore's his wife, and he ends up going to jail. And she gets off scot-free. Can't really tell by the trailer if she was in on it, or I don't think she was in on it. I think she knew, but I think there's like a privilege, right? Like if you're married, like the wife can't get in trouble for some shit like that.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, something like that.
It's
like they can't be tried for the same crime or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Dylan McDermott goes to jail and she doesn't. And then she ends up meeting Alec Baldwin. And I can't really tell from the trailer what he does. It's just that he's blind. I think he's like a ghostwriter.
Yeah, something.
I think she's like writing like an autobiography. But anyway, she kind of falls in love with him, and they go through. It's just like when you're doing blind guy movies,
there's a line.
I can't think of anyone else but Blind Guy McSqueezy, like one of Michael Scott's characters. So I don't know. I mean, there's a line because it's tough because you see Alec Baldwin in so many things, and I'm looking at him and he's doing that. There's really no good way to impersonate a blind person
without being terribly offensive.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, like at least wear the glasses. Like he's just looking barely off center. And they fall in love anyway, and then the husband gets out of jail. And there's a couple scenes in the trailer where Alec Baldwin's just staring at him, and the guy slaps him in the face. And Alec Baldwin can't defend himself, or he hits him in the knee with a bat. And it's like, come on, but it was. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably see it on some rainy day.
Yeah.
At some point, but oh my god, I was just dying.
There's a very narrow line you have to walk when it comes to being blind in a movie. I feel like you can only either be. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It can only either be it's a comedy, or it's a very severe drama, or it's a biographical piece. That's the only. There's nothing.
Yeah, like in Ray, Jamie Foxx got away with it because the guy. Look, Ray Charles. He was blind. Yeah.
I mean, pretty much it's only biographical and comedy, because if you think of the only other serious drama I can think of is Book of Eli, and that was that's the only thing I could think of, and that was even spoiler alert, that was a surprise,
right.
It
wasn't like a plot point.
Yeah. I think was it last year at South by Southwest, I saw a really funny movie about a blind guy called My Blind Brother.
Oh, with Adam Scott?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, that movie was very funny.
Now, see, that's hilarious. And it's
and Nick Kroll.
Yes, it's funny because you get the hijinks of a blind guy along with a romantic comedy type thing. And it's really good. And then you think of other blind movies. It's like Mr. Magoo. It's okay, well... It's all comedy. It's like you gotta, especially you gotta give him the glasses. You can't just have him looking bare eyed.
You can't just have him staring off center.
Bare eyes is a bad look for when you're trying to play a blind person. You have to be really serious about that.
I agree. So anyway, I mean, I saw it because I was looking at movie trailers. Speaking of movie trailers, American Made, but
oh my god, that looks so.
So I was
good.
actually looking at that one, and it just so happened that Blind, the movie trailer, came out the same day. So I wonder how many people were watching Blind instead of American Made.
Well, if you hadn't told me about it, I don't think I would have saw it, even up until now. Like I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
since.
because it wasn't. I saw it. Where the hell did I see it?
Is it a like a Hollywood movie? Is it going to theaters?
It's supposed to. I think in it's either July or September.
Interesting, very interesting.
But yeah, it hasn't really been. I mean, I haven't seen it on TV. I forgot where I saw it. But I mean, I think that's like Pete Tom Cruise right there.
Oh my god! Oh, so good. Oh, for American Made, you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was talking about the Hollywood thing. Whether I was talking about Blind. Whether that's
Blind? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I saw the American Made trailer, and then I watched it probably like 6 times. It looks so
all right,
good. It's
good.
vintage time. Yeah, it's vintage time. Yeah, I was talking about the Blind trailer, but yeah, American Made looks so good.
It really does. And that's like, I don't know. I like Tom Cruise. I mean, he's obviously a little wacky.
Totally a little wacky.
But I mean, how do you've literally been doing movies for what?
Yeah. And also he's got
30-something years.
I mean, he has that like super high with like being in love with Katie Holmes, and then the divorce, and then Scientology, and then what I mean, like he's got a lot of odd things going on outside of movies. So for him to even still be like, you think of other guys that would be in his position. I mean, names that come to mind like Shia LaBeouf, like who have had like issues in their lives and like really difficult to keep it together for the most part. And then like he's been churning out movies his entire career. Like, blockbuster after blockbuster, so yeah.
In the blog post I did for American Made, I listed like his movie. It was basically every movie he made, besides maybe a couple, from 83 to 96. And there's literally 15 of like the top 100 movies of all time, or like the top 50. And I mean, they're just like classic after classic after classic after classic. And then you don't even take into account like all the Mission Impossibles he's done, which I enjoy all of them. But the first one was like bomb. That was like its own genre almost. Like they like redefined that type of spy.
And then Jason Bourne came along in like all those type of movies. Yeah,
Triple X,
Taken to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Triple X.
Yeah, but so if anyone wants to go see Blind, I think it comes out. Let's see, I have the release date right here. July 14th. So I'm not sure if it's gonna be a summer blockbuster, but
it's gonna be coming out. I know that's the week after, or is that the week? It's the week after Spider-Man. So might be tough, especially since Wonder Woman is still putting out. It hit almost $300 million worldwide after a week.
How about that?
Oh my
That's
god,
awesome.
It's so awesome. I know we really haven't talked about Wonder Woman, but you didn't see it, right?
No, not yet.
You got it. I want to go see it again. So if you want to see it, I'll go with you. It's fantastic. It really is awesome. It's really really well done. Gal Gadot is, oh my god. She's first of all, she's impossibly beautiful, like a doll, like perfect. And then she's just so good. It blows my mind. And she was like in the Israeli army. We talked about this last time and stuff. She's like done so much in her life, and now she's gonna be a leading lady for the rest of her life. She's just gonna be, if she wants to be in any movie she wants, she'll be in any movie she wants.
Good for her.
So good, and also good for Patty Jenkins too. Like absolutely shattering like every record for female directors. Like, I mean, really, and a $300 million movie in a half a week is exceptional for any director.
Any director of any movie, never mind a female director with a female lead. I mean, that's good because
it's just really
you see
good.
So much.
I went on Amazon. I pre-ordered the Blu-ray to see when it's going to come out. It's going to come out later this summer, but I just can't wait so I can watch it like 100 times at home. It's so good. I cried. I'm not going to lie. I was texting with Jess Keller. I cried.
Like throughout, or at just a specific part?
There was a few, no, not throughout, but a few parts.
Matt, stop crying.
Just sobbing the entire time. No, there was a few parts, and there's this. You have to see it. I don't want to go too far into it, but there's this really awesome sequence towards the end that Jess and I were tweeting about. It's so good. You'll like it. You'll like it, and you need no prior knowledge to any superheroes. Nothing. It's like,
see, that's what I'm not gonna lie. That's what turns me off some superhero movies. I have nothing against them. I just don't. I don't watch them as religiously as a lot of people. So I don't. And I read a good article on this, like the shared universe of films, how a lot of directors are kind of falling in love with that. And I think it's cool to reward fans once in a while. But for like someone like me who doesn't, watch a lot of superhero movies like Justice League and stuff, I'm not going to go see that because I don't watch Captain America or Iron Man I don't even know if those are the people in it. But
I mean, I know exactly what you mean. Like it sucks because if you don't get on when the train leaves the station, you feel less inclined to want to go see these.
At all the stops.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. So it's nice to get movies like this. Like this is totally a standalone, even though it fits into, like, it fits into a little bit to Batman v Superman and that kind of stuff. But it's totally worth it to see on your own. This doesn't need to be connected to other movies. So and I get that. Like I love like the shared universe stuff. Like not that I love it. It's just that I'm already tied in, so it's easier for me to see these movies when they come out because I don't have to worry about it. But I get where you're coming from. That totally I wouldn't want to see movies if I didn't see. You know what I mean? Like that, I wouldn't go.
Yeah, because then, and because I just love movies that I wouldn't want to feel not cheated, but you know what I mean. Like you don't get the same experience if you don't understand what's happening in the, if you don't understand one character or one this, one that. So.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. No, absolutely, you're right. Absolutely right. But Wonder Woman's great and good. Congrats to Patty and Gal.
Absolutely,
awesome.
And I'm gonna be seeing it soon. And once I do, I'll give my official opinion of it. But I'm very confident that I'm gonna love it. So I'm pumped.
Chris Pine too, and the rest of the cast. Chris Pine was awesome too.
Love Chris Pine. Tell you, after that SNL hosting stint, he's inching up with Chris Pratt, my favorite Chris.
I think he already passed Chris Evans. He's already past that, but
yeah, Chris Evans, and I mean you can't go wrong with any of them. Hemsworth, I love Hemsworth.
It's like if you're a Chris and you're like a Hollywood actor, you have to be like a super nice and handsome guy. Like that's just what you have to be. That
right. Those are the attributes you need to display.
So, anyway. All right, so let's move on here to a little bit of wrestling. We got some interesting stuff to talk about.
I do. So, I mean, wrestling. I review Raw and I review NXT for a website called Top Rope Press, and Raw the past couple weeks, it's been post WrestleMania season. There's always a little bit of a drop off. Yeah. I mean, it's tough to blame one thing. Like I hate blaming the guys because these guys are so talented. Especially since I watch NXT so closely, like you can't, if a guy is utilized or just portrayed so well in NXT and just has this great run and then comes up to Raw on the main roster and doesn't, like I can't see blaming the guy.
Yeah. Like
it's the writing, it's the situations they're put into. So, I mean, I don't know, but it was in a little bit of a lull. And then they had Extreme Rules this past Sunday, and the main event was a fatal 5-way match, with the winner becoming the number one contender for Brock Lesnar's Universal title. Mm-hmm. Lesnar's, he's a part-time guy, so he won the title from Goldberg at WrestleMania, hasn't been on Raw since the day after WrestleMania, so that kind of takes away from it. Like, when your main guy for the title isn't there, you just kind of have a bunch of guys yelling into the wind about how they want to be champion, but there's no one there to, it's odd, but, I mean, you know what you get with Lesnar. I mean, you pay him a ton of money. He makes you a ton of money, but he's not going to be there every week.
Yeah.
But Samoa Joe won. Samoa Joe, for those who don't know, wrestled in TNA for like a decade and finally got signed to NXT a couple of years ago. Had a phenomenal run in NXT. Had great feuds with Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura. Up to the main roster, and now they're putting him against Lesnar, which is awesome. I was really happy because it was Joe, Reigns, Balor, Rollins, Bray Wyatt, and it was going to be one of those 5 against Lesnar. And we've already seen Rollins, Lesnar. We've already seen Reigns, Lesnar. Balor, Lesnar would be cool, but Balor, Lesnar, you have to work a lot harder. You have to really suspend your disbelief. Finn Balor is smaller than me. I mean, he's legit 5'11", 180.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean he's not a fantastic wrestler, but if he's going to do a face-to-face with Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
it looks like Brock Lesnar's fighting a kid.
Yes.
And as much as I love Bray Wyatt, he just is written so poorly that, that would have been a waste of time as well.
That's an understatement.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, they obviously just don't care. Like, if they put half the effort they put into building up The Undertaker when he was in his prime, Bray Wyatt would be the best villain in WWE. Instead, he just, he'll come out, he'll cut a great promo about how he's the eater of worlds and he's going to beat everybody, and then he'll lose. Well, it's like, well, you can't do that. Like, people are going to stop paying attention after a while.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Joe won. I think that's the most intriguing matchup of all the five. Physically, Joe matches up with him. He's big, he's strong, but he's quick. And he fights so many different styles. I mean, he can brawl, he can, MMA, he can do submission style wrestling. I mean, I think it's going to be a fun matchup. And did you watch Raw this past Monday?
I just saw that that he choked out Paul Heyman.
But they did it so cool.
How did it work?
So Joe came out for a promo, and he's like, I'm the #1 contender now. And he's like, the main reason I want to beat Brock Lesnar is because I want to be Brock Lesnar. He's like, I want Brock Lesnar's schedule. I want to show up once in a while. He's like, I want Brock Lesnar's money. I want the money that they pay Brock Lesnar. He's like, I want Paul Heyman. I want Paul Heyman to come out and be my advocate and talk for me and then let me beat people up. Then Heyman came out, and Heyman's just the best. Like, he has this way of, like, talking up Lesnar's opponent. So he'll talk about Joe in a really flattering way and say, Joe, like, you deserve to be #1 contender. You're this great athlete. You were an NXT champion. You were this, you were that. But then he'll go back. He's like, but you're not Brock Lesnar. And then so when he hypes up the opponents, it makes Lesnar look even better, because when he hypes up Lesnar, he's saying, you're amazing, but Brock Lesnar is even better than you.
Yeah.
So he did a great job of that. And then Joe, like, at first let him walk out of the ring, and then he, like, went over and, like, grabbed him by the arm and then, like, cornered him and didn't even use a microphone. He just talked to him face to face, but the camera must have picked up his voice.
Yeah.
And he's like, Paul, he just said it really calmly. He's like, Paul, I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen to you right now. I'm going to choke you until you go unconscious. and as your eyes are rolling back in your head, I want you to remember this feeling. And I want you to go tell Brock Lesnar that this is what's going to happen to him. And then he choked him out. It was so badass. It was so cool. And then later in the episode, Heyman was, like, in the trainer's room getting checked on. And it was so funny. Like, his phone starts ringing, and it's like this old-timey ringtone, like clearly like a 50-year-old's ringtone.
Yeah.
And he shows the phone to the camera, and it's just Brock in all capitals. So apparently that's what he has Brock Lesnar in his phone as, is just Brock in all capitals. But so Lesnar's going to be on Raw next week. So hopefully they just beat the crap out of each other.
Yes.
Because he hasn't been on in so long. Like, you gotta let Lesnar get physical, since he's used so sparingly. Like, you can't just have him show up and, like, have Joe back down. I mean, that's a waste. Like, come on, people want to see more than that. So
that's awesome. That sounds awesome.
But yeah, so that's the biggest thing happening on Raw. And then I found today, just unrelated, they did a study. It's this like group. They do like a focus group of the median TV age of, like, people who watch wrestling on TV. And in the year 2000, which makes sense because that's when wrestling was, like, at its highest, the median age was 28 years old. So, like, the average age of people watching wrestling on television was 28. Last year, when they did the same study, the average age was 54.
That's crazy. And it just shows you that it grew. Like, it just grew with the like the same people that watch it then will watch it now. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because, I mean, in 2000, I was, 12? So, I mean, I'm not the median of either of those, but, like, the people who watched it then, because it was so popular, are willing to give it a chance. And I think it's because they kind of, like, as good as guys like Kevin Owens and Nakamura and AJ Styles are, those aren't the guys that, like, the 10 and the 12-year-olds follow along in the indies and watch in Japan. Those are the guys, like, our age or older.
Yes.
And I mean, the only thing is, like, so now your median age is 54 years old, and you're doing a TV PG product. I mean so you're getting older viewers, but less of them.
Yeah. It's strange. I mean, but that speaks volumes. It's like it's literally the same people who watched in 2000. They're just old now. They're older now. But the article made a good point that, like, even though the ratings are lower than they were like in 2000, WWE's found a way to monetize better. Yeah.
So it's like,
totally.
Now you're paying $10 for the network. You're paying for the live event tickets. You're paying, they know what they're doing.
Now I wonder if that the same kids that are watching now that are like, 12 to 16 years old, I wonder if wrestling sticks with them as much as it has with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be interesting because maybe they just usher like age groups like up and they just like keep, like they just hold on to like good retention rate for like their fans. I
don't know. It's tough. I mean, you don't have the same like larger than life characters.
Yeah,
as,
to us, we're coming from like Stone Cold.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I always have a like fans saying like, well, it's not like the Attitude Era. Well, that was literally the best era in wrestling history.
And you're that same person that says that watched during the Attitude Era.
Right.
So
and believe me, I've gone back and watched some of those Raws, like now on the network. It's not. I mean, they're not bad, but they're not as great as we remember.
It was all shock value. I mean, a lot of it was shock value. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I just found it very interesting.
That is super interesting. So I'm curious to see, like, I mean, there's definitely going to be kids that when they get older, they're going to be like, John Cena was the man. He won all these titles. He's our Stone Cold. He's our Hulk Hogan. He's our whatever. So,
which is good. I mean, they should have it like that. I hope they can start building somebody to be like the next. You don't have to be the next Cena, but you want someone that can. You put him on a card and people are going to watch. People are going to buy tickets to go see him. So I don't think they have that guy yet, but it'll come.
Yeah, they don't. And honestly, maybe WWE's they're very smart. They're very smart. Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe that's not the type of guy they want. If they wanted to push one of those guys, I bet they could. Like if they wanted a guy like Cena that wins all the time, I bet they could have that with one of their guys.
Yeah,
there's so much talent. But I don't know.
Yeah, and they have a guy. I mean, Reigns is the closest to that, but even him, like he's not anywhere close to what Cena was.
No, and because Cena was loved at one point. I mean, so was Reigns, but I mean, Cena was loved for a long time before he got to the everybody boos him stage. And also, you have the thing of like, I mean, maybe like the sins of Cena, like Cena being so good for so long and like fans turning against him. Like maybe WWE was like, well, we don't really want that. Like, because a lot of times, like Cena later in his career, like now in the last like maybe like the last 6 or 7 years, he can't have a persona. He has to be the same person, and he's going to get booed out of the arena no matter what he says.
Right.
So, but I mean,
they don't care. They won't.
Yeah. But let's move on from wrestling. Let's get into TV Club because I got a lot to talk about right now.
Let's go. I'm ready.
I'm glad we're talking about Saul first because Saul's always it gets my mind ready to talk about American Gods. Because I'm probably
it's a good warm up.
I'm probably still processing that episode, but so Saul this week the episode was called Slip.
Yes.
Okay. I just want a quick thing. Next week episode, did you see what the name of it is?
No.
Fall.
See, I love when they do that.
They're the best. I mean, they really are. I mean, that whole production company, the whole director production team, they're amazing. Everybody at AMC too. They put on quality shows, and that's just like. Just little things like that. Like you said, like Mike reading the handyman book in the little toll booth.
Yeah, just like little character development. I mean, it's so like it would make. I mean, for me, it would make sense that Mike knew how to change a door, but they just throw that in there because they want to. They're the like ideal show to reward viewers for paying attention.
Yes. So this episode we got. Jimmy is still trying to pay for his TV, or Saul, I guess we should say.
Yep.
Is still trying to pay his TV ads off. He pulls a little slipping Jimmy and actually slips. And, that whole thing. Who are the guys that own that music shop? I know them. They're comedians, right?
They're comedians. They're in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, they were in, like, Not White Chicks. What movie were they in? Where they were, like, a rap duo. Baby's Daddy, I think it was, with Anthony Anderson and the guy who played TJ and Deuce Bigelow. But anyway, so they own that. They're owning that thing, and Jimmy's trying to sell his ads to them, and they're just like not having it. They're kind of being dicks, honestly.
They were.
I thought. Did you think that the people who were in the shop were just people that Jimmy had brought there to like shop?
Yeah, because
me too.
I mean, he doesn't go like there's no lengths he won't go to.
Yeah, but it seemed like those are actually people that came in because of the ads, the first ad they ran, the one he did for free. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it. And which that's why I see they do such a good job of making you kind of relate to Jimmy too, because it's like, hey, these guys are in your shop because of the free commercial he gave. Why aren't you giving them money to do more?
Yeah.
But at the same time, then he's stoops to a cheapskate level to do what he did.
Yeah. I love his little crew of the University of New Mexico film students. I love that. They just don't care. Like the girl is so empathetic towards Jimmy, but the other two guys don't really care.
No.
They're just like especially the camera guy.
Yeah, they could be doing anything.
Yeah, they just don't care. I love it. I love that little aspect to it. And then you got the whole interaction with, I think that the big thing right now with Kim, and I think which will eventually be not her downfall, but eventually be the reason why she wasn't in Breaking Bad, is like she has so much guilt, and it's just compiling.
Yeah.
It's just building up. I mean, even to the point where when she was at dinner or lunch with Mesa Verde, she wrote the check for her law school debt and gave it back to the hell's his name? Hamlin. Howard, yeah. So, I mean, she has so much guilt, and it's just going to come to a head, like maybe this season, maybe next season, I don't know, maybe the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think they had her write that check and do it in the way she did because it kind of shows you, like, if she can't live with that guilt, like, how is she going to live with some of the stuff that, like, true Saul Goodman does?
Yep.
Like, he's turned into Saul, but he's still got a little bit of Jimmy in him.
Yeah.
But he's getting close to just being the real Saul, and I don't think Kim and Saul can coexist. Like, I don't think those two personalities will work.
They can't.
She's not. And they did a good job of it. It wasn't this week. I think it was last week's episode when they were in the restaurant and Jimmy wanted to like pull the prank on the guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever, not pull the prank, but just kind of like
the schemes they used to do. Yeah.
And she like reluctantly did it, but you can tell that's not something that she can.
No, she was just talking. She was just doing it to talk. Like she wanted to do it just to blow off some steam. But he actually like he almost needs to do it. Like he's drawn to it and he like feeds off of it. That's just like who he is.
Love that Marco was back too.
Yeah, Marco. Good to see Marco back. I'm curious. Like that was an interesting flashback. It didn't really. I mean, he was getting at his old coin collection, right? And just so he could do they were going to do another con. It's good to see him back, but
he's in the show Last Man on Earth on Fox.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's
really?
So good. Yeah, he's like a series regular. Like he's in every episode.
Oh,
he's
really?
So funny. Yeah.
Oh,
His
awesome.
Actor's name is Mel Rodriguez.
Okay.
He's really.
That's funny.
And then obviously you have it's kind of crazy with Better Call Saul because you're watching almost not two different shows because it's shot and filmed. It's filmed the same, but two crazily different storylines.
Yeah. I was thinking about that today, like watching the whole Mike and then the Hector and Nacho storyline. I'm like, this is Better Call Saul, but it might as well just be like, call it just call it the Hector Show or whatever. Call it like a different name, and it could be a whole different show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I thought the guy who plays Nacho Varga, his name's Michael Mondo. I thought he had a really nice spotlight episode.
Yeah.
And he's someone who you really have some empathy towards because of what Hector wants to make him do with his father. Like,
yeah.
He definitely has a close relationship with his father. It seems like his father maybe doesn't know what he does.
No, definitely not.
I don't think he does, And like I can see that. Like I think Nacho needs that separation of the time he spends with his father and the things he does for Hector.
Because you can tell he doesn't all that like taking money from people and beating people up doesn't come natural to him.
No, that's not like something he gets joy out of. It's basically, but you have to look at it. If he doesn't do it, Hector's probably just gonna kill him. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, and who knows how he got in with Hector, or, you know, I mean, because he obviously has a good family life, so maybe, you know, it's not like Hector would have like picked him up off the street. I don't know. So
Yeah.
he's a very interesting character to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like him, and that whole scene with him swapping the pills, when how he took out the AC, and it was like really hot in there, so he'd take off his jacket and all that. That was really well done, like little production there, and it really kept me on the edge of my seat, even though I had to watch half of it on my TV and half of it on my phone because my internet went out. It still had me like at on the edge of my seat, and I love that. Like he broke the AC for a specific reason, right? So he would take off his jacket, but it also serves a secondary purpose because it really intensifies the whole situation.
Yes. So when he's sweating because he's hot.
Yeah.
But he's also sweating because he's nervous. But it's not like a cheap out. Like, he's sweating, he's so nervous. It's like, no, he broke the AC. Like, why would he be sweating?
And also, it puts the pressure on the audience. It feels like it puts the pressure on the audience. Like, when I see them in that place, right, usually, they look pretty comfortable. They're not sweating. Mm-hmm. It seems like a pretty comfortable, like, little restaurant, right? But then all of a sudden you show the visual of him breaking the AC before they go in there, and then you start with the cook, and he's cooking, and you see the steam, and you see the heat, and then you see the sweat on Nacho's forehead. You see Hector take off his jacket. It's hot in there, so you're like with them in there, and it's hot, and he's gonna swap these pills, or else he's dead. You know, like, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. And if he gets caught, he's dead.
He's dead, yeah. Or if it doesn't kill him, or whatever he's trying to do with it, then his dad will be dead. You know,
right.
So.
And it's cool because it almost felt like they were in a totally different spot. Like, that was not the comforting home base that it usually is for them.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's filmed really well. They cover their tracks really well, and not cover their tracks, but they put so much attention to detail. I don't know. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and then you got Mike and Gus and Mike, who didn't have they didn't have much in this episode, but
no, but they were the ending, and that seems like, especially the way they shot it, where they closed on the handshake.
Yeah,
I think that was the official beginning of them doing business together.
Yeah.
I know they kind of begrudgingly Mike begrudgingly did business with him before, but this seems like official. You know, Gus saying, "I would never take money from your family," and then the handshake.
I love Gus.
Yeah, he's such a great character.
He's such a good character, and he's so, I don't know, he's like, yeah, exactly. He's just a great character. Like, he just, like, that line when he said he would never take money from his family, like, that was incredible. And, like, this guy is, like, a ruthless drug dealer, but he's, like, has, I don't know, all these qualities of, like, a normal human. And you see that in Breaking Bad, too.
You do. And, I mean, even though you knew what he was doing, I never necessarily rooted against him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, sometimes you had to because you had to pick between him and Walter, obviously, at the end. But, I just thought that was a really great scene at the end. And it seems like the official start, especially the way they filmed just the handshake.
Yeah. However,
I think that was done for a reason.
I think with that, along with whatever's going to happen to Hector now, is going to be the like, big start to their, like, you know, them getting together. So
I'm interested to see what – I'm going to have to assume it has to do with the medication, but –
yeah, it has to.
How he ends up in the...
Yeah. How many episodes we have left of Saul?
I think only one.
Next week's the finale?
I think so. Hold on, let's see.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's either one or two.
Fall would make sense, being the series finale, the season finale. That would make sense.
Let's check it out.
But it was a really good episode overall. I kind of feel bad for
two more.
Kim.
Yeah,
two more. I
kind of feel bad. And then the finale is called Lantern.
Okay. Oh,
so maybe something with Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah. I really feel bad for Kim. This is like the last thing I want to say about it. I really feel bad for Kim, just because now she's taking on that extra account, and I don't know if she can like really handle it. And I think that woman from Mesa Verde, what is her name?
With the dark hair.
Yeah, the one who deals with her and with the guy who owns the banks. So
I forgot her name.
But anyway, her like they're kind of on rocky terms right now for like what she said to her the week before, and I don't know. I just feel bad. I feel like her, instead of sending those files out to like the other lawyer she was going to recommend, her taking them on is going to be a big problem. I also think the reason why she took it on is because she wants to help carry Jimmy.
Yeah.
She wants to help pay for his half of the thing, like how she said to keep the money and all that stuff. And so I think she's like getting in over her head just to help Jimmy when all Jimmy wants to help is himself. In the end, like he doesn't mean it, but that's what he does.
But that's what he does. That's who he is.
Yeah.
So I did do a poll earlier, and we got some votes for who's your favorite character from Slip.
Yes.
And who do you think? So the choices I gave everybody on Twitter was Jimmy, Kim, Nacho, and Mike Ehrmantraut.
I put Nacho.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's who ended up winning.
Really?
He got 50% of the vote. Yep.
Nice.
Mike got 37%, Kim got 13%, and Jimmy got 0%. So people weren't a fan of Slip and Jimmy.
I can't believe that Jimmy got 0 and Mike got so much. Like Mike was really barely in the episode.
I think people just love. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
People just love Mike.
Yeah.
He just shows up on screen. You're like, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
But now we move on to the insanity.
American Gods, man.
What a wonderfully insane show.
It really is. So now you have two separate storylines going on pretty much. You have I mean there's a lot that they haven't connected back to yet. But tonight was one of those nights where they did connect back to something. Salim is in this episode. Who previously
I'm glad they brought a couple back, because the only person who's been like reoccurring throughout like the different states in the journey of Mr. Wednesday and Shadow is Mad Sweeney.
Yeah. Who is a great character.
Oh my God.
So the two like little groups right now is you got Mr. Wednesday and Shadow, and then you got the dead wife, and you got Mad Sweeney, and you got now Salim driving him around, who previously was the guy, the salesman, and then he met the what do they call those gods? He said he's looking for, right? He's looking for those gods. He's looking for what do they call it? I forget.
Like who the cab driver was?
Yeah. A djinn, right?
I think so.
A djinn, and he said you're looking for a djinn, and Mad Sweeney knew what a djinn was. He's like, yeah, shit for brains with fire eyes, and which I thought was funny. Mad Sweeney's a great character. So yeah, he's really great. But how about Vulcan?
That was an interesting character, especially with the bullets and everything.
Yeah. So this show is very deep, obviously, but this seemed like he was the god of firearms, essentially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because he said, which is very intense. He's like, for every person that goes into a packed movie theater and fires, it basically starts killing people. Like, it's a sacrifice to him. It's a sacrifice to the god of weapons. And so this town is just basically like all the gun nuts in America, right? Yep. I mean, that's what they're trying to portray.
That's definitely, that's it.
Yeah. And I thought one of the most powerful, and you obviously, I think you probably recognize this as well. One of the most powerful scenes was when they shot the bullets into the air. And I thought that was a really cool, it has like double meaning. It's like they shot them into the air and they didn't really at the time when they're shooting them, they did not care. But then all the bullets rain down and Shadow has to take cover inside of the Mr. Wednesday's car. But that also, that parallels with the gun issue in America. It's like people want their guns and they don't care about what they just don't want their guns taken away from them.
Exactly.
And they don't care they don't care to realize what's happening around them, what ways they could make gun control better. And I'm not going to go into a political tirade right now, but do you agree with me? Them shooting the bullets into the air and then just walking away was very reminiscent of what the gun landscape is in America right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the land of no consequences, or the land of not thinking about your consequences. Yes. So you can shoot a bullet in the air and who knows where it could fall down and who it could hit, but to that they don't care.
Yeah, no.
And that's, I think, what the Vulcan and his community and whatever represented.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. The factory has all these issues, and it sacrifices to him. So I guess he's technically a god. Whether he's an old god or not, I don't know where he fits into that.
He was the only one that seemed to me that was a god, yet almost like a
self-made, right?
Yeah, there was no mystery or superpowers or anything in that way. How Mr. Wednesday can do, or Mr. World. Yeah. Or Mad Sweeney's a leprechaun, Laura.
He doesn't.
Celine
I think you're right. I think he came along and I think he commanded, like, I think he like tapped himself in as a god. Like he just.
I think he found this like really impressionable, insane group of gun nuts and was
Yes.
like, "I'll be your leader. I'll be your god."
How about with them?
Well-
They all have the red sleeves. Like they all have like the red sleeves with the town name on them, Vulcan.
Yeah.
And they're just like
Which is-
very, very reminiscent to Nazi.
Yes.
Nazi uniforms.
Yeah. Very, very eerie.
And then he makes Mr. Wednesday this giant gold sword, which I thought was so cool. And then Mr. Wednesday promptly cuts his head off with it.
Turned out being a bad move on his part.
Yeah, bad move to hand him over the sword and then tell Mr. Wednesday that he told the. I mean, so.
Yeah, what was his strategy there?
I don't know.
Like, did he not think he was going to cut his head off?
I don't know, but so Mr. Wednesday is kind of on the run from who? When he
I
says
think Mr. World.
Is it Mr. World? But didn't Mr. World just leave him? Like.
But I think it's, I don't know, because it could be Mr. World, it could be Technical Boy, it could be.
I guess right. So when
I think it's like that group of people because unless it's a group of, because they're the only people that seemed like enemies to Mr. Wednesday so far that we've met. But again, it could be. I mean, there could be other ones that we haven't met yet, which would not surprise me.
But they want Mr. Wednesday to join with them, right? He wants a merger. Yeah.
And I think he kind of wants to not do that.
Every episode,
he doesn't trust him.
Yeah, no, totally. Every episode I see now, I get like more intrigued on who Mr. Wednesday actually is.
Because he's a con man, so you never really know who a con man is. I mean, he could have a million different personalities.
Yeah, he is. I'm really curious. I'm almost like leaning on the side of like I think he might be Satan.
Possibly.
I think he might be one
just
of
like
the dark
a devil's
gods.
advocate type of.
Yeah, I think he might be like one of the dark like deities, like one of like the dark gods.
I could see that.
Yeah, I just for some reason I feel like in this like twisted, I think it's gonna come to a head where like you realize that like, where Satan is not basically. I'm gonna paint with a broad brush here and make like a very simplified like metaphor, but like Satan isn't all that bad. Look at like what media is doing to us. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of like epiphany.
Right.
But how about Jesus?
Hey, tried to save him.
Jesus just gets shot through the hand. Obviously, like basically connecting how Jesus was nailed to the cross, and then he dies in the cross position.
So now, was that the Vulcan community that was shooting them?
I don't.
I don't think it was, but I think it was their bullets.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. I think like it kind of showed again like the consequence. It's like, oh, look, we manufacture all these bullets and we do all this stuff.
Right.
But
right.
Wherever the bullets go and whoever they hit,
they don't care. Yeah.
Pay no mind.
Yeah, it's funny because
you know what I mean. It's not like you're growing bananas. I mean, you're growing bullets. You know what's going to happen. They're going to be shot out of a gun.
Yes, and like you see the guy at the beginning of the episode that falls into the pit. He's like whistling and singing and like all like, but he's like the foreman of this, basically a killing plant, like a factory that kills people. Yeah,
just having the time of his life. And hey, well, that's what you get.
That's what you get. I thought, Jesus getting gunned down was an interesting thing. So now I wonder if Jesus comes back. Like, is Jesus allowed to come back?
Does he rise?
Also, now Mad Sweeney is trying to find, or is agreeing to find someone to resurrect the dead wife.
Yes.
Laura Moon. So does he know that Jesus is now dead? Like, is Jesus the one that's going to resurrect her, or is he? You know what I mean? Like, is that?
That's kind of the beauty of the show. You can't really.
You don't know.
It'd be foolish to pick one route and go that way because that's not the type of show it is.
No.
I was, it's funny, not funny, but I did a poll for American Gods too, and Mad Sweeney ran away with the favorite character from the episode.
He was great.
75% of the vote. He was great. Says the C word a lot.
Yes, he did. You gotta. I love it. I love shows on Stars. I love shows on HBO. Just get to say whatever they want.
They really do. I mean, and I like Laura Moon called them out on it. It was like, grabbed them by the lip because she has super strength now. She's risen from the dead, but
which is apparently what happens when you rise from the dead. I love that. Like, why not?
Super
why
strength.
not?
Why wouldn't you have super strength?
Exactly. Why wouldn't
you're kind of writing your own rules as it goes along, so you might as well make it interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed bringing back a couple of the characters. It's cool to see them, like, now that we might not know as much as we want about them, but that's like the nature of a first season of a show, especially a show this ambitious.
Yeah, I
like
think
this isn't like, this ease into it show. It's like, no, Jesus died in the opening scene trying to save Mexicans from crossing the border. So, I mean, this isn't your average show.
No, I bet there's a lot of characters we won't meet again until hopefully, fingers crossed, season 2.
Yeah,
I bet there's a lot of like characters that will come back in season 2.
Which is interesting because like they obviously didn't know right away that it was gonna get picked up for season 2. So when they were filming season 1, I wonder how much they like held off on bringing people back at us. I don't know.
Well, think of this: like if you're making a TV show, there's no negative for you because if it to like withhold a lot of information, because if season 1 goes terribly, right, and it's intriguing and you want to know more, but it just is shit, you know what I mean? Like it's not going to get picked up anyway, so it's going to be gone.
Right.
But if it's intriguing and like I said, if it's intriguing and you want to know more, but it gets canceled for season 2, like I just said, there's probably more of an outcry for it to be picked up by like a Netflix or a Yahoo or like, you know what I mean, something like that. Like it has a second life. So for them to like withhold all this stuff, like I'm sure they were just like, I'm sure that if there was no season 2, end of season 1, we'd be very, very disappointed. That you know what I mean? It's not up to us. Like if we really want to see that, it will get made. You know? Exactly.
I agree. And I found a good. We follow American Gods on Twitter.
Yes.
So they were doing some type of like live panel discussion with the cast, and Pablo Schreiber, who plays Mad Sweeney, was said that the fight in the bar from the first episode when him and Shadow would fight in the bar.
Yep.
He said the second time we shot the fight in the bar, Shadow split his head open.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so Mad Sweeney, the guy who plays him, had to go to the hospital. So he came back from the hospital and finished the scene.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Wow. It was actually, if you go on their Twitter, it's American Gods STZ, so like stars abbreviated. Their whole timeline is just like live tweeting the panel. It's a lot of cool, like behind the scenes stuff from the show, and then just behind the scenes stuff from the actors.
If I had internet on my computer, I'd go check it out right now. But I don't.
Yeah, sorry, that was a tease. Well, if you ever get internet back.
Never.
But yeah, it's really cool. They were at some live panel thing, and there's just like 30 tweets about like all behind the scenes stuff. It's really cool.
I'm really looking forward to the future of this show.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's a very, very interesting show. It's unlike anything else.
Yeah, totally
on TV. I mean, but yeah, it's really cool. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad you got me hooked on it. I'm glad it's part of the TV club. I think we're doing it justice reviewing it as best we can. It's a tough show to review. It's not like a cut and dry.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So with TV Club for this week, obviously Better Call Saul, American Gods. We'll be doing that again next week. And then when Saul ends, we're probably going to roll right into, we'll add Orange is the New Black, because I know you like Orange is the New Black as well. As
and that starts tomorrow.
So, perfect. So for next week, we'll add that onto the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll what do you think? 2 episodes?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I think we should probably do like 2 episodes at a time.
Perfect.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good. I mean, both good episodes for Saul and American Gods. So
yes,
yeah, good TV Club this week. All right, we just want to remind everybody, if you could go over to iTunes, if you subscribe to us on iTunes, or if you don't yet, you should go over there. Search Average Nobodies.
What the hell are you waiting for?
I know, seriously. Go over to Average Nobodies, review us, rate us, leave us 5 stars, leave a little text review. You could say good, bad. You could just write our names. Doesn't matter. Write a review. We'd love to hear from you guys. Call our voicemail, 401-285-8120, and leave us a voicemail about TV. You can talk about Saul. You can talk about American Gods, or you can talk about anything else. I mean, really, we'll talk about anything if you want to leave us a question or a voicemail on that. So, and check us out on Twitter, Average Nobodies, and we're basically on, if you just search Average Nobody on any, Average Nobodies on any Twitter social media account, you'll find us. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, gotta get us on the social medias. We're always active. We're always ready. So any voicemails, any TV Club, any people watching stories, you guys have out there. I can't imagine we're the only 2 who go through these odd people watching days, so we want to hear other people's.
Yeah, I'd love to get people to call in and give us good people watching stories. That would actually be great.
Everybody has them.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to get it out there.
So if you have any interesting stories about your everyday life, call in and leave a voicemail. Again, the number is 401-285-8120. If you got any good people watching stories, we want to hear from you. That would be awesome. So, Ryan, thank you. I'm sorry that the internet is a piece of shit over here.
Hey, that's all right. It's always a pleasure. This is a nice phone call. I enjoyed it.
Yes. No Dirk this time, unfortunately.
I'm sure he's brewing something for the next time.
I think he's off picking grapes somewhere. He left his container, his giant grape container that he brought last week. He left on the counter when he left. So.
Sounds like Derek.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Matt, have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, you as well. I'll see you this
you.
weekend. And wait, tomorrow's your birthday.
It is.
It is 29.
The big 2-9.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
so I'm gonna walk around like Alec Baldwin tomorrow in the blind trailer.
I think that's only right. I think you should. Are you going into the office tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be in the office.
Perfect.
Yep. Just like trip up the stairs. Like, come on, we know you're not blind. You got to stop this.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, happy birthday, my friend. And
thank you.
Everybody in Average Nobody's Land, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.